in here, but who wants to be there? So, what's next? An architect did a little site drawing for us, and he kept a facade. The facade, the beautiful facade that we've been looking at here, you tear it down. One possibility is you tear that down and replicate it, because that represents the past in our collective memory. And you have a park behind it, and then you have a small theater on the left, the big theater on the right, all the equipment you need to run theater behind it, 3 rows around it, and you have a parking garage over here that holds 400 cars. And that is for the entire grove, for the private schools during the day, and it would provide supplemental income for the theater complex. And down here on the bottom, over here, is the way you go into this right now. There's also a little driveway that you can see that comes around. That was one architect's rendering. They're going to send out in September, after the mayor looks at all this stuff, they're going to ask the architects to design this the way they would design it if they were designing multiple theaters, classrooms, rehearsal stages, administrative offices, and so forth. This is just one architect's look. And the next one, we asked Thomas Thain, who used to be at the University of Miami Architecture School, if he would take a look at the property and then draw what he thought architecturally looked like Coconut Grove while keeping the original facade look. He built to the right of that a theater that is of the same architectural style, a traditional type of style. It would be something that could go into Coconut Grove, and this was his result, and that's what you keep seeing. And Thomas is a really great draftsman and a good architect, and this was his design. We're not submitting as anything we think ought to be there. We're just saying, look, this is what it could look like. It's not overwhelming, and it's pretty. It's a beautiful building, and you've got the original facade over here to the left, and behind that would be the parking garage. The parking garage would be behind those trees on the left-hand side. Go ahead. Okay, next one. Seem to be going backwards.
All backwards.
Okay. We wanted to announce it that we were interested in doing this. We've got a group of people that I think we can get $25 million from. I think out of 21 billionaires in this city, we ought to be able to get $25 million to support this project. New buildings would cost $45 million. That was our goal. And I think this report is going to do these things. Number one, it's going to say, how much does it cost to build what we propose? And we propose $45 million. So an expert in New York named Josh Dax at Fisher Dax is studying this and is going to come up with an opinion in a report. And the second thing is that they've got 20, so we need 25 more. We have 3 or 4 years to do it. And then we're going to do a preliminary budget, and that's going to be done by Steve Wolf of AMS. You were asking the question before. AMS, Planning and Research Corporation, is studying every aspect of this. How many people will come? How much will they pay? What will your earned income be? What will your expenses be? How much do I have to have to balance the budget? So they're doing a feasibility study. Next page. And then we've set up a 501c3 corporation to help fundraise and to be involved in the building of something if we're involved in this. And it can be operated. This is the important part. Most people don't know how the Eidson Art Center works, but when the community decided to do a public-private partnership. And that means that part of the money to build it would come from the public sector and part would come from private. In this case, the land and the money for the Eidson Art Center, $175 million, came from the private sector. Their names are on the building. Eidson Arts, $30 million. $10 million from Ted. Ted Harrison started this whole thing rolling. And then you got Lynn and Ted passed away. But you got the Knight Foundation gave 10, and that's the name of their building, and then Sandy Diff, and that's on his building in Parker. All these people. That's a public-private partnership. To continue that, when they finished and they began to operate it, we didn't want the government to be operating it. We wanted an independent private board composed of government components. That's the simplest way that I can put it. So we have a 41-person board expanding to 50, Their number one goal is to continue to raise the private part of the money that it takes to operate it. Because $36 million a year to run it, everything that it does, and to take care of it, and to air condition it. $22 million of that comes from earned income. The other $14 million is split between the county and public fundraising, private fundraising. That's that public-private partnership. The board reports to the county because it's the county's buildings, and they have an operating agreement between the trust that runs it and the county, the commissioners, and the mayor. Every January and February, we give them a budget, and they audit that budget, and then we agree on it. And then our job is to balance the budget. And for 8 years, we balance the budget. Every year, we balance the budget. Sometimes it's really, really tough. We have to come up with $8 million this year, and we got 500 to go. So what I'm suggesting is one way to do this. We already have theater experts there. We already have marketing and programming and a lot of the infrastructure of a new theater company. So instead of starting a new theater company with all the people that involves and the difficulty of doing that, why don't we let the Eidson Arts Center and the county amend the operating agreement that I just described to you, amend it, and add this as a facility and let the Eidson Arts Center run it. Because that's what the mayor and Commissioner Sarnoff were asking us to do in 2008. So you didn't know why I put that up there first, but I was going to come back to it later. So that's what we were thinking is, we already have an infrastructure to operate this. We can save a lot of money, and we've got people who are really experts. It is 4 miles and 5 miles away, but they do it in Boston. There's models for this. They do it all over the country. There are museums where they have satellite museums. And the Aventura Theater in Aventura is operated by the Broward Performing Arts Center. Also does the Caldwell Theater. So there's models for this. What I found last week in Boston was spectacular. They've got a separate complex like this one would be over here, where they're drawing 200,000 people a year, with their main stage and their other stages, and educating children. Tens of thousands of kids are learning all about what theater is about, what the lessons are that you can learn from this. Okay, so that's what that is. It's the possibility of how it can be governed has to be handled. These are the immediate benefits. An important place for people to gather, a civic anchor, a town square, a cultural center. Next, create hundreds of jobs, millions of dollars in labor income, business sales tax revenues, attract more than 150,000 people annually to attend performances, to go to these restaurants and shops they're going to be building that I visit every day. Provide world-class entertainment year-round, producing new plays and attracting the greatest talent in the world to the theater center to create these new works. When Kevin Spacey was down here a couple of months ago at the Arts Center, I jokingly said, you know, he taught master classes while I was here. He's a famous actor, you probably know who he is. Would you be involved in the Coconut Grove Playhouse? And he said jokingly, I want to be in the first performance. Believe me, if we do this, we're going to be able to attract great stars like that again. I'm confident of that. And so we provide this year-round. This should be 12 months a year, assisting keeping our young artists in town so they'll stop running off to New York City and Chicago and Los Angeles. And we can work with FIU too. Maybe they can develop a master's program. Create an important regional theater, joining the other 29 largest cities in the country that already have one. We don't. Next. Build a cultural void by providing a beautiful, modern, proscenium stage theater with 600 to 800 seats to accommodate important theater. These great plays have been written and have been written for thousands of years. Next, provide an important educational opportunity for university, public, and private high schools throughout the county. Create an exciting, lively atmosphere throughout the year in Coconut Grove. Support a new parking garage. Parking garage, we've talked to Art Noriega about this. There is money available in Coconut Grove, and that they have available to build this parking garage. It would not be in the $45 million. There's money to build a new parking garage and operate the parking garage, and there's private vendors. They would also build that parking garage that we need so badly, and efficiently utilize the Coconut Grove property. Use the whole property. Go ahead and design this now, is what we're suggesting. And add this beautiful new civic and cultural, aesthetically pleasing building to the community to be proud of, because we don't have anything like that in Coconut Grove right now. Well, we don't, except what we have in the building on the bay. And we cover this artsy, bohemian feel to people of Coconut Grove by bringing in this theater concept that is dedicated to the arts. You can go through this fast. We went just blank, 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 blank. We literally looked at hundreds and hundreds of documents and publications from all over the country to try to come up with a type of programming model that will make sense, that where we can balance the budget based on what we think we're going to have here projecting out in the future. And we've looked at all these different things. You can go ahead to the next one. Went through all the documents of the Eidson Arts Center when it was incorporated all the way up to today. Did an economic study all over the country. There's a really good one from Seattle. This is the kind of environment we're talking about having. Not that theater, but all those people out there having a good time and going to the theater, coming downtown and enjoying each other and great productions. These are just some of the ones that some of the places around the country that are already built that we looked at. At this point, we went to the mayor, as I said, in March, and we outlined this, and the county said they were moving, and we were slowing things down. And Mayor Jimenez, I know I said it's been 8 years, and we can't wait a little bit longer and do it right. I'm sorry it took us this long, but you just got the property in January. And Mayor Jimenez used to be the commissioner for this district, and he actually talked to us about the same time that Mark and Mayor Diaz were talking to us about maybe trying to take over and resurrecting this situation. And so he was very, he seemed to like the idea. I mean, he liked it to the point where he said, if you'll pay for it, go forward with the study that you say that you're doing. These consultants, we've got 3 top consultants in the country to answer these questions about how much will it cost to build it. You say 45 million, what if it's 100 million? And you say you can balance the budget, what if you can't? Maybe not enough people want to go see theater anymore in Miami-Dade County. And the third thing we're looking at is how we can do the fundraising. What kind of team do we need and so forth. So we have experts in all 3 of those areas. We are going to go back. Apparently the county has slowed down a little bit. And now we have enough time to finish this report. And the report's going to be finished around September the 20th, about the time that they start sending out proposals to the architects about what we might, we're going to wait for it before we do that, as to what they might recommend is built on that property. And we want them to consider this. We're going to present it at the end of September. And then the mayor and the county commissioner and the people with control of the property. We've also talked to everybody at FIU. We talked to the president, his representative, the provost, and the head of the theater department there about what they were interested in. And